श्रीमद भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्री नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय, मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्री गौर निताय की जय, श्री राधा वल्लभ की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा देवी की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी। All goes to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All goes to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All goes to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All goes to Guru and Gauranga. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurulmiltam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Soyam Padantikam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Yudapada Kamlam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatam Pitam Tam Sajivam Sadhavaitam Sadhabhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagna Lalita Sri Vishakam Pitam Tam Sajivam Panchakalpatarubhaisya kripa sindhu eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavyo ve namah. He Krishna karuna sindhu dīnbandhu jagatpate gopesha gopika kanta radha kanta namastute. Tapta kanchan gaurangi radhe vrindavaneshwari vrishabhanusute devi pranamami hari priye. He Krishna karuna sindhu dīnbandhu jagatpate gopesha gopika kanta radha kanta namastute. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 6, Madha Parvati Cases, Chitraketu, Chapter 17, and text number is 10. Iti atadvirya vidusihi. Iti atadvirya vidusihi. Bhuvane bhavu asobhanam. Bhuvane bhavu asobhanam. Rusaha devi dristaya. Rusaha devi dristaya. Nirjit atma bhimanine. Nirji atma abhimanine. Iti atadvirya visuddhihi. Bhuvane bhavu asobhanam. Rushaha devi dristaya. Nirjit atma bhimanine. Iti atadvirya visuddhi. Bhuvane bhavu ashobhanam. Rushaya devi dristaya nirjita bhimanine. Prabhus iti atadvirya vidusihi bhuvane bahu asobhanaham rusaha devi dristaya nirjit atma bhimanine. Iti asadvirya vidusihi bhuvane bahu asobhanam rusaha devi dristaya nirjit atma bhinanine. Iti asadvirya vidusihi bhuvane bahu asobham rusaya devi dristaya nirjit atma bhimanine. Iti thus au atas virya vidusi. When Chitraketu, who did not know the power of Lord Shiva, Bhuvane, spoke, Bahu Asobhalam, that which is not up to the standard of etiquette, the criticism of exalted Lord Shiva. Rusha, with anger, Aha, said, Devi, the goddess Parvati, Dristaya, onto Chitraketu, who was quite shameless, Nirjita, Atma, as one who has controlled his senses, Abhimanane, thinking of himself. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Not knowing the powers of Lord Shiva and Parvati, Chitraketu strongly criticized them. His statements were not at all pleasing, and therefore the goddess Parvati, being very angry, spoke as follows to Chitraketu, who thought himself better than Lord Shiva in controlling the senses. Purport by Prabhupada. Although Chitraketu never meant to insult Lord Shiva, he should not have criticized the Lord, even though the Lord was transgressing social customs. It is said, Tejiya Shaham na dosaya. One who is very powerful should be understood to be faultless. For example, one should not find faults with the sun, although it evaporates urine from the street. The most powerful cannot be criticized by an ordinary man, or even by the great personalities. Chitraketu should have known that Lord Shiva, although sitting in that way, was not to be criticized. The difficulty was that Chitraketu, having become a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Sankarshan, was somewhat proud of having achieved Lord Sankarshan's favor, and therefore thought that he could now criticize anyone, even Lord Shiva. This kind of pride in a devotee is never tolerated. A Vaishnava should always remain very humble and meek and offer respect to others. Trinad api sunisena taro api sahisuna amani namani deda kirtanya sadahari. What should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the streets. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. A Vaishnava should not try to minimize anyone else's position. It is better to remain humble and meek and chant Hare Krishna mantra. The word Nirjit Atmaha Bhimanine indicates that Chitraketu thought himself a better controller of the senses than Lord Shiva, although actually he was not. Because of all the consideration, Mother Parvati was somewhat angry with Chitraketu. So we'll read the translation once more. Not knowing the powers of Lord Shiva and Parvati, Chitraketu strongly criticized them. His statements were not at all pleasing, and therefore the goddess Parvati, being very angry, spoke as follows to Chitraketu, who thought himself better than Lord Shiva in controlling the senses. Hare Krishna. So, now we have read this before that in the last chapter. Chitraketu had darshan of Sankarshan, right? Sankarshan is God, right? Now, that indicates his position, that he was a great devotee, right? And then, now, even reaching that stage, the last thing that we have to overcome is, that fame comes with it. And with fame comes what? Pride. And pride is the cause of all the fall down. So we have to find out why does a person get proud and how to avoid it. So what is the cause of pride? Positions. Yeah, what else? It basically comes down to this particular feeling that you are better than the other person. Because when you think you are not as good as the other person, then you won't criticize that person. But as soon as that pride comes into you that you are better than that particular person, then you start looking fault in them. Right? Then you become a fly rather than being a honeybee. What do flies do? They look for filth. They have to look for, then we start looking for faults in other people. Right? And this comes in us. Even though when we are devotee, we look at a person like Chitraketu, who had darshan of Lord Shankarshan, right? He was already on the bhava level. He was almost on the prema level. Still, he had that pride in him. So we should do our best to avoid this. And as soon as some pride comes in, what should we do? Chant, right? Pride means you think yourself better than somebody else, right? That's when the pride comes. You're comparing yourself to somebody else. So when you feel that you are better than somebody else, what should you do? Save them or try to glorify them. Try to see qualities that are better than you in them, right? Once Duryodhana was asked to go in the kingdom and find a person who was better than him. And then same time Yudhishthira was asked to go and find a person who was lower than him. So when Duryodhana went and gone through the whole kingdom, what did he find? No one was better than him. He was the best. And when Yudhishthira was sent to find if anybody was lower than him, what did he find? No one was lower than him. He was the lowest of the all. So this is the quality of the devotee, humility. Prabhupada said here, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Maharaj said, that we should tie this mantra around our neck. And what is that mantra? Trinadapi sunisena taropi sahisuna amani namani dena kritanyaha sadahari. We should be humble as a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. Because what we are trying to attain is devotional service. Devotional service means bhakti. And wherever there is no humility, bhakti does not reside there. So bhakti and dainya means humility, right? They are friends. And as soon as one goes, the other goes. Make sense? So if you want devotional service, what you have to do? You have to become humble. You have to become tolerant. And once you have this, then devotional service comes, right? Now we have heard this many times, in lectures and from classes that, when we do something material stuff, when you leave this body, what happens? Everything is finished, right? We might have $1 million in the bank. When we die and we get born again, we don't get that $1 million in our next life. But we say devotional service never finishes. Isn't that right? Have you heard that? It can finish. There's one way you can destroy a devotional service. And how is that? Vaishnava Prad. If you do Seva Prad, you chant the mantras. When we do the deity worship, there's a list of mantras in there which you chant and we can get rid of all those offenses. But when you do a Vaishnava Prad, then nothing can save you. Even Krishna can't save you. You know the pastime about Ambrish Maharaj and Durvasa Muni? Right? He went everywhere. After he offended Ambrish Maharaj, he went to Lord Shiva. He couldn't help him. He went to Brahmaji. He couldn't help him. He went to Lord Vishnu because his Sudarshan Chakra was chasing him. And still he couldn't help him. He said, I can't help you, even though this is my weapon. He said, the only person who can help you is Ambrish Maharaj. So this is the thing about devotees. Devotees are very dear to Krishna. And Krishna can tolerate any offenses against himself, but he does not tolerate offenses against his devotees. Right? Still, you might be thinking why this is happening. Right? You have to understand, on the other is that this is also staged by Krishna. Right? Because he's using his special devotees to teach us a lesson. That if somebody like Chitraketu can fall down and commit offenses, and his next life, what did he become? A demon. Right? Then what can happen to us? So we have to be very, very careful at every stage of our devotional service. Does that make sense? So this is the main point of today. Try to be humble, try to be tolerant, be prideless. If there is any pride comes up, immediately repent about it, And if you're really envious about somebody, go and glorify that person. Try to have some, you have to bring the humility in our heart. And to bring the humility, you should be, it's the most difficult is to go and apologize to person. Isn't that right? And that's the most important thing, and that's how you become humble. So humility comes when you start apologizing, Even if you don't commit any offenses, right? And somebody feels like you have offended, you have to apologize. Do you know of a pastime where this happened? Once Rupa Goswami was doing his sadhana. This was in Vrindavan, and a devotee wanted to go and see him. But he had some disformity, right? So Rupa Goswami was doing meditation. He was in, deep with Radha and Krishna, and he was smiling. And this particular person thought that Rupa Goswami was smiling because of his disformity. So he got offended. And immediately Rupa Goswami's sadhana broke. And then he was wondering what happened, Then he went to his older brother, Sanatana Goswami, and he asked him, what did I do wrong, He said, you must have offended a Vaishnava. So you see, immediately, you have offended a Vaishnava and you have lost the position from there, you have gone. So he said, what do? I don't remember offending anybody. So he said, you should hold a big feast and invite everybody. The person who doesn't come is the one whom you offended, So they held a feast, and this Baba did not come. And then Rupa Goswami went and explained to him what happened, and then all the misgivings was. Right? So even a person like Rupa Goswami, who is expansion of Radharani, who is the most dear servant of Krishna, most intimate servant of Radharani, if he can go and apologize, so why shouldn't we be apologize, So this is the message from today. Today is a very special day as well. What is today? Bahula Astami was yesterday, and Radha Kund appeared last night in India, which was 5:30 in the morning our time. So as people were here chanting, having darshan of the Lord, thousands of people were taking bath in Radha Kund. So it's a very special day. And I thought, it's Kartik month. Rupa Goswami said, of all the places in the three world, Madhupuri is the most auspicious place. And another name for Madhupuri is Mathura. So we know by the name Mathura. So it's another name of Mathura is Madhupuri. And in Mathura, why is Mathura so auspicious? Because Krishna was born there, right? And in Mathura, Vrindavan is most auspicious, right? Why is Vrindavan so auspicious? Because Krishna performed Rasa Leela there. And in Vrindavan, Govardhan is most auspicious. Now you know about Govardhan, Govardhan is a very special place where Krishna performed so many pastimes there. And one of the things I like about the pastime of Govardhan is that, in Krishna there's Astakala Leela. You know what Astakala Leela is? Krishna's day is divided into 8 parts. And each part, Krishna is with certain type of devotees. So in the morning from 6 o'clock to 8:36, he is with his parents. So he is enjoying Vatsalya Ras. Right? He's in the morning, he gets up, milks the cows, has his breakfast, gets ready. And then at 8:36, he lives with his friends. So that time he's enjoying Sakhya Ras. Then he goes to the gopis at midday at Radha Kund, which is Madhurya Ras. So throughout the day, what happens is that Krishna is divided in different times with different devotees, right? And they all want to be with Krishna. They can't live without Krishna. But Krishna cannot be everywhere at the same time. So at Govardhan, when Krishna lifted the mountain, the Govardhan, on his left hand. So of the two hands, which one is the weaker? Left hand. And then where did he lift it? And of all the fingers, this one is the weakest. Isn't that right? So he lifted, and which part of the finger did he lift out on? On his nails. So this is how powerful Krishna is. How big was Govardhan at that time? What was the height of Govardhan? 16 miles tall and 14 miles wide. And he was lifting with his tani. And how old was Krishna? 7 or 8 years, something like that, 7 years old. Right? Little boy lifting the whole Govardhan, right? And all his friends and everybody thought, now they had the whole stick, They were also holding it, right? And Krishna said, okay, I think they're getting a bit proud. They're thinking that I'm lifting it. So what did Krishna do? Put the little weight down, Everybody, hey, Krishna, help, So they could understand that they were not the one holding it. It was Krishna who was holding it, And during that 7 days and 7 nights, all the devotees, Brajbasis, the cows and everything, they had complete darshan of Krishna. Uninterrupted. So this is the greatness, one of the great things about Govardhan. He brought everybody together. There's only one person who couldn't have darshan of Krishna. Who was that? Radharani. Now you must be wondering why. Because when he was there, Radharani was there, and when Krishna sees Radharani, what happens to him? So he saw Radharani, and then everything started falling, right? He loses his control. And then the gopi said, you better hide, Because, if you come in front of Krishna, this hill gonna fall and we're gonna all die, So while everybody was having full darshan of Krishna, Radharani was hiding, and that was the tapasya. But she was with Krishna. Krishna was there. Right? So this is, in Vrindavan, that's the most auspicious place. And at Govardhan, what is the most auspicious place? Radha Kund. Radha Kund is the most, there's nothing above Radha Kund. Right? So last night, or basically this morning according to our time, was the day that Radha Kund appeared in there. So you might have all heard past time about how Radha Kund appeared, how Aristasur was killed, right? You have already read Krishna books? How many of you don't know how it was done? Please lift your hand so that I can... Now all of you know? Okay. One person doesn't know, it's nothing wrong with... Okay, thank you. So what happened is that there was a demon, a friend of Kamsa, right? And he appeared in a form of a bull, right? So he was big. How big was he? When he raised his tails, the tails were moving the clouds. You know how high the clouds are, right? So he wanted to kill Krishna. He was very proud of himself that he has this ability, right? So he came there and everybody was scared. When he was running like that, the whole Vrindavan was shaking. It's like an earthquake was coming, right? So he came, Krishna, and he charged at Krishna. Krishna held his horns and threw him back. He got really angry, He got up and he charged again at Krishna. And Krishna held his horn and threw him on the ground. And then he pulled one of the horns and beat him to death. Right? So after this demon was killed, that was fun, right? Yeah. So after the demon was killed, Krishna wanted to go and enjoy with the gopis. And what did the gopis say? Don't come near us, You killed a bull. What does bull represent? Dharma. You have, you are contaminated. And Krishna says, he was a demon. He said, doesn't matter, He appeared in the form of a bull. You killed him. You are contaminated. Don't come, don't come even near us. Forget about touching us, So he said, okay, what do I do? He said, you have to go to all the holy places and take a bath. Yeah. Not only here, in all the three planets, so in the upper planets, everywhere. And Krishna, he doesn't want to leave Vrindavan. So what did he do? He asked all the Tirath places to come there, right? So before he did that, what did he do? Using his feet, he stamped on the ground and he created a kund in there, right? So if you look at Sham Kund, what is the shape of it? It's like a feet, right? If you put your whole feet there, where Radha and Sham Kund meet, it's smaller. It's like the heel of, and then it goes slightly bigger in there, right? It just so happened. I'll tell you a little bit how it happened there. While Radha Kund is like square, right? Now Sham Kund was also they were trying to build it in the same form, but it did not appear because of Krishna's special mercy, So all these personalities came, Ganga Devi came, they are in Pesan, they are saying, Krishna says, okay, introduce yourself. They fold their arms and says, I'm Ganga Devi, I'm Yamuna Devi, I'm Godavari, I'm Saraswati. And then Krishna says, okay, all of you enter the water. Right? So immediately the whole kund was filled. And Krishna entered and took his bath there. So when he came out and he told the gopis, now you can go and have a bath there, because you are also contaminated. Why were the gopis contaminated? Because they took side of a demon. They took side of Aristasur, right, that he was a bull. So because you took this side of a demon, you are contaminated, you go and take a bath. And the gopis said, that water is already contaminated because you took a bath. You put all your sins there. We're not going to take a bath. So we're going to create our own kund. So how did they create the kund? Using their bangles. So they took their bangles out, the thousands of gopis, they made a nice kund. Right? Now it's time to get water. So they all lined up, all the way to Manasi Ganga, right? That's few kilometers away. And each of them have their matka, that earthen pot. They fill water, they pass it to the next one like that, and they're filling it up, And it's getting late now, and there's hardly any water there because the kund is big, and Krishna wants to enjoy his pastime. So Krishna signals to all the Tirthas, and he says, please pray to Radharani so that you can come in. So all the Tirthas go, pray to Radharani, please let us save you. And Radharani says, okay. So as soon as he says, okay, what happens? The bank breaks, right? And the water from Shamkund go into the Radhakund in there. So it is said that Radhakund is the liquid form of Radharani. And Shamkund is the liquid form of Sham. And because during the day they get separated, this is one place. By being together, they're always together. They're always in union in there. Right? So this is how it was created. So over time, as time went by, the places were lost. When the Brajbasis left with Krishna, when Krishna finished his Prakat Leela here, his manifested pastime here, everybody left, and also the Dham got lost. So 500 years ago, who went there? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there. And he was looking for Radha and Shamkund. So he looked for Aristagram. Arista is the place where the demon was killed. So that village was named as Aristagram. So he went there and he asked those people, where is Radhakund and Shamkund? And nobody knew about it. Then he sat under a tree and he started meditating. So there's a place called Chaitanya Baitak if you go to Radhakund, right under the tree. So that's where he was sitting and meditating. And then he saw that in the paddy field, rice field, there were two lakes there, little ponds there, right? And he recognized there were Radhakund and Shamkund there. Then he went and took bath there, and everybody is wondering, what is this special about this place? And then he started reciting all these prayers about Radhakund and Shamkund. And then everybody knew Shamkund, Radhakund. Then what happened is that when you talk about Radhakund, Shamkund, right, especially in our parampara, in a Gaudiya parampara, that one personality comes very strongly in that place. Without his mercy, it would happen. And who is that? Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami was one of the 6 Goswamis who had spent most time with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? When he left his home at a young age, he went to Puri and he was under Sarup Damodar Das. And who is Sarup Damodar Das in Krishna Lila? Lalita Shaki. Right? She is the leader of all the gopis. Right? She organizes everything for Radha and Krishna. So he was trained that. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, Sarup Damodar left, and then Raghunath Das said, okay, I can't live without them. So out of separation, he left Puri and he came to Vrindavan. And what was his intention? Commit suicide. He said, I'll go on a climb on the Govardhan and jump from there and give up my life. And Sanatana and Rupa Goswami told him not to do that. He said, you should stay here. We do not know the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Antalila pastime, The early pastimes was already written by Vrindavan, Vrindavan Thakur, and also by Murari Gupta. But the final pastimes, whatever happened in Puri, nobody knew about it. So he said, you should come and preach about this. You should come and talk about this so you can tell us. So every day Raghunath Das Goswami at Radhakund for 3 hours he would recite this. And where was he reciting? So there's Radhakund and Shamkund, right? So when Radhakund was created, Krishna said that your kund will be more glorious than my kund. Everybody will know and glorify Radhakund more than my kund, right? And I'll take my bath every day here. And Radharani said the same thing, I'll take bath in your kund. So the place where Radharani takes her bath is the place where Rupa Goswami's bhajan kutia is. And this is where he was reciting. If you go where the three samadhis of the three Goswamis are there, Raghunath Das Goswami, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. Those three of them, they are there. That is where all those pastimes were happening. Later on, when Vishwanath Chakravarti came, he was there. And he wanted to know all the pastimes there. So there was a pilu tree there. You know pilu tree? It has a very small fruit, right? And the seeds are very hot, chili hot, And you're just supposed to eat the top one. You can't sup on the chilies. Otherwise, it's like you're eating chili, right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went to Vrindavan, and he took this pili fruit to Jagannath Puri, and he gave it to the devotees, So those who were not from Braj, they didn't know about it, They ate it, they chewed it, and and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was laughing. He said, this is not the way to eat it. So this pilu tree was actually reciting all the pastimes to Vishwanath Chakravarti. So when when Raghunath Das came there, he was saving, chanting there, and he thought, he had this desire that he wanted to make it proper, just dig it up, just like it is now today, right? So, but he didn't want to get involved with all this money business and everything. So there was a devotee who wanted to build a temple at Badrikashram, and Krishna came in his dream. He said, forget about that temple you want to build there. You take that money and go and give it to Raghunath Das. And Raghunath Das will refuse in the beginning, but you tell them you had this desire, and Krishna himself has asked me to give the money. So when he went there, Raghunath Das actually took the money, and then he excavated the whole place. So you see, he excavated the Radha Kund, which is in square. And then he started excavating the Sham Kund. But there were a lot of trees around the place, right? And then if they had to do it in a square way, certain trees had to be chopped. And they decided, okay, we'll have to get rid of these trees. And at that night, who came in the dream of Raghunath Das Goswami? And who was in the tree? The 5 Pandavas. Yudhishthira Maharaj came. So Yudhishthira Maharaj came and said that we are meditating here. These 5 trees are us 5 brothers here. Please do not cut us, So you see, that's why that different shape takes over. And few other trees were like that, that then they realized that these are not just trees, these are special personalities here. So they tried to actually avoid that, and that's why Sham Kund is in that particular shape. Right? And then after all that happened, Raghunath Das Goswami said, we can take bath here, but we should not wash our clothes, we shouldn't do anything like that. So what did he do? He said we should dig a well. So while they were digging a well, which is there, I think it's called Gopi Kup now, or something by that name. While they were digging, what did they find? Tongue of Lord Jagannath. So there was a stone there, and when it got hit by whatever they're digging with, the spade or whatever, it started bleeding. And then everybody got scared, what's happening, They ran to Baba, Raghunath Das Babaji, what happened? He said, okay, forget about it, just leave it, So overnight, then Giriraj came in Raghunath Das Goswami's dream, and he said, that blood that's coming is from my tongue. It's my tongue. So he said, take it out and install it. So if you go there, one of the mandir is called Jiva Mandir. Jiva means tongue. And it's still there. And you can still see the blood mark on that in there. So this is the places that we have got, And I hope, you have a little bit desire to go there. So this is a very special place. The 3 main deities of our Sampradaya, which are Radha, Madan Mohan, Radha, Govindji, and Radha, Gopinath. Right? So when, who was that Muslim king? Aurangzeb. When he attacked Vrindavan, all these deities were taken from there, and where did they go to? But where did they go before that? First they took them to Radhakund, right? So that's why you go there, those deities are still there. Their representatives are still there. Then it was taken to Kamavan, and from Kamavan it was taken to... Now you might be thinking, oh, it took years, Radha Govindji, it took about 10 years from leaving Vrindavan to reach there. So it was a long time. They went to different places. They went another place, I think, before it reached there, and then finally they went to Jaipur there. Right? So a few pastimes that happened there, right? And also we are called that we are Rupa Anugas. What does Rupa Anuga means? We are followers of Rupa Goswami, right? And Rupa and Raghunath are same thing, right? So it'll be nice to actually understand a little bit of mood of this. And also, you'll find a way how to worship this place by living here, while we are here today, right? So let's hear the pastime. Name 1,000 names every day, 100,000 names every day. So he used to do 4 rounds every day. Then he used to do Manasik Puja, right? Puja in his mind. He used to pay 1,000 obeisances to Krishna every day, and 2,000 to all the devotees, and he used to embrace them, right? So this is what he was doing every day, right? How long he used to sleep? 90 minutes. 1.5 hours is all he used to sleep, right? And he was very strict. Now when he was in Puri, you understand how strict he was, how austere he was, right? In the beginning, he was begging prasadam from those people who sell the prasadam, right? Then in the end, what was he eating? Whatever was left over, thrown, that was rotten, eaten by the cows, and he'll wait for the cows to eat, and then he'll take, wash them and eat them. Now that's how austere he was. But in Radhakund, he was even more austere. And what he used to drink? Buttermilk in 1 cup, right? That's all he used to do. Some days, not even every day. One of those. So one of his, 7:30, he's drinking buttermilk and he's taking 1 bowl. Let's give him a bigger bowl so we can put more buttermilk. At least he can drink more, right? So usually, how the bowls are made. You have all been to India, right? That from the papers, or what do you call the leaves of trees, right? What tree is it made from? I don't know. Probably some are made of bananas. Okay, so then his servant, he went to a place called Sakistali. You know what place? Who is in charge of Sakistali? Chandravali. So one side, if you look at Govardhan, right? Govardhan's side is in charge of Radharani. On the other side is Chandravali. So if we go to, Pustali, which is the tail of Govardhan, right? Because Govardhan is said to be in a form of a peacock, right? The 2 eyes are Radhakund and Shyamkund, and the tail is on the other side, right? And if you go about 5 kilometers, the other side is where's the place. In that place, the leaves are much bigger, so you can make bigger cups. So he went and brought these leaves from there, and he made a cup, and he gave it to Raghunath Goswami. As he was about to drink that buttermilk, he asked, "Where did you get this? How come it's so big?" He said, "Oh, we got it from that place, Immediately he threw it away, Because Chandravali and Radha Rani, they are opposing parties, right? He was so much Radha Rani's man that he didn't want to do anything with Chandravali, not even drink from the cup that was from there, right? This is the mood of our leaders whom we are following, right? So that's the mood we should be, right? We should follow Srila Prabhupada. This is, don't go here and there, don't go to different places. Prabhupada is the way. That's the way we should go. We should be so strong. Anybody who doesn't have respect for Prabhupada, you don't want to do anything with them. As simple as that. This is the lesson we learn from pastimes like this. Now, the other pastime was that Raghunath Das Goswami, he wanted to serve very nice sweet rice to Radha and Krishna. But he's a Babaji. He said Radha Kund. Right? So what happens is that he doesn't have any of those things. So what does he do? He do Manasik Puja. Have you heard of Manasik Puja? Right? So we understand that when we are here, when we are in some place, we are serving with our physical body. But that's not all we are, right? We also have a subtle body, of which mind is the most powerful. It's more important to have our mind in our place, just like Rupa Goswami said that it's better to be outside Vrindavan and think of Vrindavan than to be in Vrindavan and think of somewhere else. Right? Because the mind has to be there. So Raghunath Das Goswami sat down in a nice place, right? And he was meditating, right? Now close your eyes and let's make some sweet rice for the Lord, right? Meditate with me, right? So what do is you get the best rice, the most fragrant rice, And then you get the best milk from the milk that is most fragrant from the best cow. Right? And you get the best pot, silver pot, shining clean pot, And you make a fire with cow dungs. Then you put the milk in there. And with a golden spoon you stir the milk. And when the milk starts boiling, you put the rice in there. And you cook and cook until it's cooked very nicely. And when it's done, you put misri, the sugar in there. You put saffron in there, right? And you make it nice and you cool it down and it's beautiful, right temperature. Then you offer it to the Lord. So you offer to all Radha and Krishna and all the gopis were there. They ate as much as they could and there was still left over. Then he gave it to all the Brajbasis who were there. And there was still left over. You can't throw prasadam, right? So what does he do? He drinks the sweet rice himself, right? So he finishes the whole thing and then he goes off to sleep. Next morning, big problem. What happened? Indigestion. So he has a stomachache, right? And everybody gets worried, so they call the doctor, And the doctor comes, Ayurvedic things, he holds his right hand and he looks at it, he says, from what I can feel is that you have taken too much milk product, You have taken too much sweet rice or something, And they say, what are you talking about? He drinks a little bit of buttermilk every day and even doesn't drink every day. What kind of doctor you are? He said, okay, let me check again. He checks again. He said, no. He definitely had his indigestion, Then Raghunath Das Goswami said, yesterday in my Manasik Puja, I offered sweet rice to everybody and whatever was left over, I took it, Right? So this is how powerful Manasik Puja is. Right? So while we are here, we can take a bath in Radha Kund. Right? Payo Dandavats, then take a bath, put few drops of water in your hand, pray to her and ask for forgiveness that you're going to enter, your feet going to touch her. Right? And then you enter the water, take baths 3 times. You can do it for your family as well. Right? And then you do the same thing to end Sham Kund. And then you go to Radha Kund. So this is how you take a bath. Radha Kund, Sham Kund, and then Radha Kund. And then chant a few rounds from there, and make some nice offering and offer it to them. So this is a very special day. Couple of points that I want to understand you to get is that Manasik Puja is very powerful. If you have something, offer it. If you don't have it, while you're sleeping in a bed, you can actually do that, right? They're doing Chaurasi course Parikrama there. Every day they're going to different places. So all our devotees from all over the world, by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, right? Prabhupada brought Vrindavan to the west, and the devotees from the west have gone to Vrindavan. They are there last night this morning, our time, thousands of devotees went and took bath there. In 2018, I was fortunate. I was there and I went and took a bath at midnight, And those who couldn't go there, I have got some water from Radha Kund. So before you go, spread it on your head, put some on your head, and it will be same as having bath there. Only difference is this water is not only, it is, when I did the prakrama, I filled water from all different places, whichever kund, and I got everything in there, To take a little bit in your mouth, put a little bit on your head, and people might be still bathing there, because it all happened last night, 5:30 according to our morning, I woke up Gurivandana, I said, they're just having a bath there, you have some water on your head, then I came here, So, the other thing is, be careful of Vaishnava prad, Don't be like a fly, like a bee. And if you commit too much of this Vaishnava prad, then have to take a picture, a nice photo of a fly, and I take a picture. You have to realize it, you have to see it, And then every time you see something, okay, do you want to be a fly or do you want to be a bee? Right? So this way, we try to actually become more humble, and hopefully one day we can all go back to Godhead. We are very, very fortunate in this movement that what Srila Prabhupada has given us. We should not only use it for ourselves, but give it to as many people as possible. The more people who are in this movement, the more, when you are going to, one person goes, it's so difficult to walk because we walk 20, 23 kilometers, 25 kilometers, some days it's hard, in the morning when the sun is hot on your head, But when you're walking in a group, you go, When you're doing it on your own, sometimes you're left behind, it is so difficult, But when you're walking in a group, you don't even feel it, you basically just going. So same thing, the more devotees are together, the more we can get together, the more we can go, it will be much, much easier. Hopefully next year, things gets better. I'm hoping we can go and do again one more Braj Mandal Prakrama before Krishna says, depending on the health. So plan this, Din Bandhu Prabhu said, anybody who does this Chaurasi course Prakrama, Chaurasi, means 84, right? One course is about 3 kilometers. So it's about 250 kilometers, right? So anybody who does this Chaurasi course Prakrama does not come to Chaurasi, 8.4 million, what do you call that? Crore, right? Right? 8.4 million living entity. This is the living entity. So you do this and you don't come back to this material all again. You can spend whole of your life, listen to me very carefully, this statement. You work so hard to earn money, right? And there is no guarantee we'll have anything by the time we retire, right? Give your 30 days. Just 30 days of that 60, 70 years that you're going to live on this planet. 1 month, and it'll guarantee you back home, back to Godhead. But to go there, you need this special mercy. Whose mercy do you need? Before Radharani's mercy, you need Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Because Prabhupada is the one who can deliver us to Radharani. Right? So say Prabhupada, every morning come, put your head on Prabhupada's lotus feet. If you have real desire, Prabhupada, please me. Make some arrangement, Pray to Radharani. Be sincere, And everything gonna happen. Okay? Any comments, any questions?
Sometimes with sometimes with Krishna's mercy, we are very good at doing one service. But then sometimes we see some devotees get envious of us, and then we can see envy in their hearts for us. So should we continue our service and keep a distance from them, or should we just stop doing the service and let them do the service?
You should never stop doing your service. So if they become envious, include them. Why do they become envious? Because you are doing service so nicely and they're not getting an opportunity. So if you include them, they'll feel happy. Isn't that right? A lot of time, we have this thing, I want to do the service. And I was like that in the beginning, right? I want to go on the altar every festival time, try to sneak it on the do an arti, right? But then you realize as much you are more, involve everybody, The more you involve them, the more they know you, the more you become their friends, they become your friends, See, nobody hates when they are your friends, am I right? So you make them your friends, right? But you should never stop doing your service, right? And the other thing is that, this is the hard one. When we see that somebody has envy in their heart, it is because we have envy in our heart. You only can see in others what you have. Understand what I'm saying? So when Prabhupada, this is why when Srila Prabhupada went all over the world and he preached to these people, whom was he preaching to? What was there, There was the Jagais and Madais, Isn't that right? But did Srila Prabhupada see all those bad qualities in them? Now Prabhupada was like a honeybee. He was just looking at the good qualities in people. So when you see something bad in people, immediately you know that you have that bad quality in there. Right? And we can't help people, The reason why we are in this material world is because we were envious of Krishna. Right? So there will be people envious, but try to engage them, as much as possible. Make them their friend, give them their prasadam, somehow or the other, make a friend. Give them something that is, It's not very difficult to please devotees, I just brought this Radha Kunjal, and I said, put a little bit on, just a few, And devotees were so happy, You gave me Radha Kunjal, And this is how it's, give a little bit of prasadam, Talk to them, Just like Raghunath Das Rupa Goswami, There was a misgiving, right? That person thought he was laughing at him, The crippled person, sadhu thought. But what was it? He wasn't, So a lot of time people have misgivings. When you talk to people, if you think he's feeling like that, you try to engage them. Hey, Prabhu, you want to do that? Can you help me this way, Like that, Anybody who comes to the kitchen, wants to do some service, I always engage them. If somebody comes to me, it's like Krishna is sending them to me. I might be in charge of that cooking, but it's my responsibility on behalf of Krishna to engage them in their service. And I have people come to me, years later, come say, hey, Prabhu, thank you very much. And I'm wondering, who is this person, because there's so many people, especially on Janmashtami time, And then they say, Prabhu, I came there and I asked for some service, nobody gave me any service, and you engaged me in something. I said, what did you do, Oh, I threw some rubbish away, threw some cartons away like that, To them it's something very important. This is how easy it is, So this is what we should do. Engage more and more people in Krishna's service. This movement, Srila Prabhupada's movement, is not about ourselves. You might have heard me in my classes many times. Prabhupada's compassion is all about. At the age of 70, when everybody is living in the dham to leave their body, Prabhupada left Vrindavan to come and preach to us. We have inherited that. You go to the dham, you get recharged, come back and preach. That's what this is all about. And then if you do that a little bit, doesn't matter we are qualified or not qualified, Prabhupada will take us. Because if Prabhupada goes and tells Nityananda Prabhu or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please take this person, how can they refuse him? Isn't that right? Prabhupada has done so much, So if you say Prabhupada, little bit, Prabhupada will never forget. And Nityananda Prabhu is so merciful. Prabhupada once said that you cannot understand how forgiving Nityananda Prabhu is. We can commit millions of offenses, millions of things, He keeps forgiving us, I was asking one of my good brothers, senior good, why do we have so much problems in ISKCON? There's so much politics here, isn't that right? And he said, it's all Nityananda's fault, He said he brings everybody, whoever wants, he brings them, and these people are not qualified. So what does happen? People fight, Isn't that right? Because we have got people of all different, You go to a lot of sampradayas, they have trained from, you go to South India, the temples, everything is pakka, nothing, just like that. ISKCON, everything is there, Whoever wants to say, Hare Krishna, oh, come, that's it, Once you shout, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and Krishna never forgets. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never forgets. Nityananda starts running after you. This is his mercy, And Srila Prabhupada, this is his expansion of his mercy. Okay. Any comments? Any other questions? Yes, Mataji.
How do you remember all the stories? How long you have been with ISKCON for?
33 years.
You have been reading all 33 years?
Read, listen.
I do. Today you were telling, I didn't know most of the stories.
If you love something, you'll remember those things. So if you want to be somewhere, right, then you have to know about that place. How can we go to Vrindavan if you don't know about Vrindavan? Now, the Goswamis have written so many things. Read their books. Read Prabhupada's book. Read Prabhupada's lectures,
Which books all these stories are in Bhagavatam?
Bhagavatam
So
is...
where did you read all these stories?
Yes, the Goswami's books are there. There's PDF files in there.
I haven't even finished the Bhagavatam.
Yeah, you read Bhagavatam first. Read Prabhupada's book first.
So, thank you, Prabhu.
And the other thing is, listen to... at the moment, if you want to know about these pastimes, the 84 course Prakama that they're doing, every day they're talking about where they are, the pastimes of the... Whatever I have just given is a little bit of what they are talking about. And they said apps. Anybody is interested, give me my number and I'll send you the app. And every day it's about 1.5 hour class. So while I was coming here, I was listening about the pastimes of Radhakund this morning. So driving from home to here, I was listening to the pastimes, Yesterday they did Radhakund. The day before they did Govardhan. So it tells you all about those pastimes.
So you finish all the Bhagavatam, everything?
I've read it once, I'm reading it again. So you can never finish. Because every time you read like anything, I haven't read this bit, But it makes more sense now. As you become more pure. See, the Atma is like a gold, but it's covered with death, We can't see that. So as we do more devotional service, all these things, when we read about Krishna, we listen about Krishna, we have more association of devotees, all those anarthas starts disappearing, and then you can absorb more. You can see, that's the difference.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any other questions? Did you have? Yes.
Thank you. With the highest power being within us and us kind of already being at where we're trying to get to,
Yeah.
like we're already at where we're trying to get to, with returning to God or Supreme, are we already here in this moment together? You know what I mean?
Sort of. Let me see if I can understand what you are saying. What you are saying is that highest power is within us. So what you have to understand is there is God. He's the most supreme person. And we are his part and parcel. So to understand, let's see. There's a sun god, right? There's a sun planet. And then there's the sunlight, the sun rays, right? So our position is that of the sun rays. So we are one of those little minute, right? And there's so many of us, right? The trees and, you go around, which each of those are each of those rays. So the rays cannot be equal to the sun. Agree? Because the sun is big in quantity wise, but those each ray is very small, right? But the quality wise is same. The sun has heat and light, the little ray has heat and light. So as living entities, we have the same thing. We have the same qualities of Krishna, but the quantity is different. Right? So the way to understand is that He is the Supreme, we are minute, and our position is to serve Him. That's why... What's the difference between, like, what's the separation? Like, because it's all in our DNA. Yeah.
So, and... The
separation is that in the spiritual world, everybody serves Krishna. Right? But because we have the same quality as Krishna, one of Krishna's quality is that He is fully independent. And we have got little bit of independence. And when we misuse that independence, and we want to become like Krishna, rather than save Krishna, that's when we leave that spiritual world and we come here. So now we have to revive that consciousness again, saying that I'm not God, right? That's why we say, I'm the landlord, everything belongs to me, I and mine. That is our problem. Then when we actually change that I and mine to everything belongs to Krishna, and I should use everything in Krishna's service, then we go back to our... Otherwise, the biggest problem in this material world is that I think I'm this body. Are we this body? Right? So who are we? We are this living force. We are the Atma. Right? So once we understand that we are the Atma, and we understand the Atma never dies, and the other thing we know that everybody saves somebody. Our mood is to save, am I right? Parents save their children, kings saves their everybody, right? You save somebody, you work for somebody, right? So that is our constitutional position. The problem is that we are misusing our service, whom we are serving. So when we start serving Krishna, when we are serving His devotees, then Krishna becomes happy, then we understand our situation of who we are, who Krishna is, what is our relationship with Him, and then we start serving Him, and then we go back there. And then, no problems. Did I answer your question? Thank you, bro. Thik? Okay, we're going to finish here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Shri Radha Vallabha ki jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hare Hare Bol. Vanchakalptaro bhaischa kripa sindhu vacha patitanam pavnibhyo vaishnavyo namo